It's day 60 of the scheduled 105-day session, so let's talk about where the legislature is right now in its work.
Well, we just finished our first cutoff. There was approximately between the House and the Senate about 2,100 bills that were dropped. But at the end of the day, about 1/3 of them actually got through the process. So what's happened now is any of the bills that have passed out of the Senate are going to go to the House. Any of the bills that pass out of the House are now going to go to the Senate. So starting next week, we're going to start the hearing process again. We'll have public hearings on all the bills that sifted to the top in their respective bodies, and we're supposed to be out here at the end of April, which I'm kind of doubting, but I can still be hopeful there. Normally, we'll see about 15 to 20% of the actual number of bills that were dropped will actually pass.
With all of these bills in play, does the focus remain on addressing education funding?
It has to, because the education funding mandate through the Supreme Court, the McCleary decision that it's known by, is going to dictate where the first dollars are going to go. And what we've got going on right now, actually just yesterday, is when we started our several times a week meetings with the Four Corners. The Four Corners meaning both the Senate chambers, the House, and both the House chambers. And so we've got a team from each of those four legislative chambers are meeting on a regular basis now to try and, get down to brass tacks and decide how are we going to solve this problem.
We hear Seattle area lawmakers who would normally support Governor Inslee's proposed $6 billion tax increase package are sort of cooling to that idea now because of the enormous tax increases coming from the Sound Transit package. What are you hearing?
Well, I got to tell you, now while I have very few people in my district that actually live in that Sound Transit corridor, I'm still getting calls from all over the corridor, from Pierce County, King County, and Snohomish County. We're seeing car tabs go up by $200, $300, $400 per vehicle per year. They've got weight fee increases on top of that, and then on top of that, you've got property tax increases. And this is a $56 billion package. To put that in perspective, the state legislature 2 years ago passed the state's largest transportation package in the history of our state. It was $16 billion, and that's money for the entire state. This is one corridor, Sound Transit, and it's a $55 billion package. And so I've got people I've talked to who are seeing tab increases based on just the cars they have at home of over $1,000 a year. Their property taxes going up over $1,000 a year. Their weight fees, several $100s a year. And so it starts to add up. And so you've got then the governor's package where he's asking for about $6 billion in new tax increases in the same area. And the appetite was already lacking there, but now it's going to become very, very difficult. I would have to say I think the governor's tax package is dead. The question will be, are there any other taxes the Democrats are moving forward on that folks are even going to have the appetite for based on what's happening just with Sound Transit? The other thing too about this whole Sound Transit plan, that corridor really only serves if you live Everett, Seattle, and maybe the Tacoma area. But even folks down in Pierce County where it failed miserably are really upset about this because so few of the people that are actually paying for it are going to see the benefit. And it's the same way in Snohomish County where we live.
So how do you see this issue affecting possible negotiations here on the education budget?
It's going to add a new challenge to it because as we're trying to go to a flat tax on education, it's going to mean areas like Seattle and Bellevue are probably going to see a little bit of a property tax increase to pay for education because they're paying such a small percentage overall in education as compared to the more rural parts of the state. So I think it's going to be something that those, especially urban legislators, are going to have to wrestle with a little more than they have in the past. Typically, the urban legislators have been pretty supportive of tax increases. This time, with all the complaints that people are posing to all of us down here, I think they're going to be balking at it a little bit.